Hi everyone, and thank you for watching this video for your final exam. So your final exam is due Sunday, May 8th. Please take note that it is due on Sunday and not Monday. We've had Monday due dates all semester. However, for your final exam, it is due Sunday, and that's because I have to get those grades in on Monday morning. Also, your final exam is open. It's currently open. It'll be open up until 11:59 p.m. Sunday evening on the 8th. It will close down promptly at 11:59 p.m., regardless of where you are on the test or when you started. So you do have 3 hours to take the test, and there's 50 questions. I'll talk about that in just a moment. However, you have to start it at least 3 hours prior to 11:59 to get full advantage of that time. I'm going to also strongly encourage you, do not wait until the day it is due to start on your exam. I'm more than happy to reset test when something goes wrong. Sometimes web browsers close out, they glitch, things happen. And I actually can see that on my end when a student goes to take a test and it closes out. I can actually see that it'll show me that there was no responses or where they were in the test. It shows me all of that data. And so I have no problem resetting a test for a student if something goes wrong. However, if you wait until 10 o'clock Sunday night to take the test and something does go wrong, I can guarantee I will not be up or near a computer to reset that final exam for you. So if you take it earlier in the week, that gives you plenty of time for me to actually see the email, number one, and reset it for you. And then number two, take that test again if you need to. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at your final exam. So you find your final exam right here. It's the last folder. Now your final exam is comprehensive. It will go through all the modules that we've covered, 1 through 12, 14, and 17. So we did not cover 13, 15, and 16. Not that they weren't important modules. We only have so much time and we can't cover it all. So I decided that these are, I think, the most important for you to take a look at. And then your final exam is right here. So as previously mentioned, it is due on the 8th. It's 50 questions, multiple choice. You've seen a lot of these questions before on your assessments and your practice questions as well. And then also it is open book and you have 180 minutes or 3 hours to take the exam. So what I'd like to do is, as mentioned, these questions, I would go through your study plan. If you want to go ahead and study for it, the best thing to do is go through your study plan and take those practice questions, read the material, get yourself familiar with what's in what area. And that way, when you go and have a question about conflict resolution, for instance, you know exactly that's in module, I don't know what module that is. I think it's module 10, positive employee relations. You can go right to that module and look up those answers quickly and efficiently. I'm going to go ahead and take the final right now. I'm not going to go through all of it with you, but I'll go through at least a question or two to show you some examples of and tips of how to take the test. And so I have no idea what questions I'm going to get. It is 50 questions, of course, but it's pulling from 380 different questions in a pool set. So it's really hard to determine what question I will get or what question you will get. Oh, actually, it took me back to the one I was playing with before. Okay, interesting. That's probably because I'm the faculty member, but that's not going to be the case for you. So I was actually just kind of playing around with some of these before. Let's go ahead and take a look at question one. An emotional response to conflict is normal. So when one is in the middle of conflict and having an emotional response, what should you do? Now, don't take a look at the screen because I've already highlighted the right answer, but should you do the following? Should you take a step back? Should you focus on communication? Should you find the cause of the conflict, or should you take ownership? Now, all of these are actually great answers. They're all things that I would consider to be correct without knowing the correct answer, if that makes sense. There's nothing glaring here that's telling me, oh yeah, that's definitely not the answer. All of these actually look like they could be the answer. Now, what I would do is I would open up my textbook. I'm going to go over to the beginning of the textbook. And here's the PDF. You can find the PDF in Blackboard in the textbook area. I actually have a printout in front of me, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm looking at on my screen. So what I'm doing is I'm just going through the context and I'm trying to find an area that talks about conflict. So when I scroll down and I go to building positive employee relations, you can see right there, it does talk about conflict at work and the impact and emotional intelligence, all of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at Introduction to Conflict at Work. Now, all you have to do if you're using the PDF is click on it and it takes you right to that area. So that's kind of nice. That's on page 239. I'm going to go ahead and open up my textbook to page 239. Hear me flipping through the pages here. I'm going to start off right here, the impact of conflict. Now, as I read this information, it talks about communication, employee differences. I'm going to continue to go and look at different areas, conflict resolution at work. And I'm going to go ahead and look at here, find the cause of the conflict, take a step back. Oh, wait a minute, this kind of sounds familiar, right? Let's go ahead and look at the answers here. So the first one says, find the cause of the conflict. Well, that happens to be C, option C. Take a step back, happens to be A. Focus on effective communication is B, or find the cause of the conflict or take ownership is another option as well, right? So these are all different options, and here is where you'll find the answer. And I found the answer very easily. I started at the top, I read the information, and when I got down to take a step back, it says right here, conflict is often accompanied by emotions. And this is a normal reaction, and so on. And right here, you can see addressing your emotions, taking a step back is what they suggest. So here's your answer right there. So that answer is A, take a step back. Now, obviously, it's going to take you a little bit more time to find that. It'll probably take you a few minutes to read through. And that's why I'm allowing you 180 minutes to find the right answer and do the best you can that way. Question 2. Which of the following statements accurately describes a goal of employee development? Let's go ahead and take a look at employee development. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to my contents and see where employee development falls under. So when I scroll down, I can see, now I happen to know the modules inside and out because I do, obviously I teach this, so I know it's module 7, but when we look here, you can see onboarding, training, and developing employees is module 7, and specifically looking at developing employees. So let's go ahead and take a look at this area. So that should bring us to page 172. All right, so as described, I'm going to go ahead and read this information if I'm not already familiar with it. And then it talks about the objective of training is to develop or enhance the knowledge, skills, and abilities, right? In contrast, employee development is about learning the benefits for the organization as a whole. Developing involves cultivation of core, generally soft skills, such as critical thinking, communication, and leadership. This hopefully should help me out. So which of the following statements describes the goal of employee development? Well, the first one is to develop and enhance employee skills, knowledge, and abilities. Well, we know that's the definition of employee training because we just looked at that, right? So here's the next question or the next answer. The cultivation of employees' core. Oh, that sounds familiar. Through the development of hard skills. Well, I remember them talking about the cultivation of core, but look, through soft skills. And if you see here, the answer is C, the cultivation of an employee's core through the development of soft skills. All right, question 3. Which of the following is the least effective way for employees to participate in structured learning, which enhances their industry knowledge, expertise, communication skills, and so on? Now, obviously, this is still, we just happen to fall 2 questions back to back, happen to fall under training and development. Let's go ahead and take a look at that because, when we're talking about our skills, our communication skills, and our critical thinking, that all has to do with development, not necessarily training, right? Because we know training is about the KSAs, whereas development are those soft skills. And that's what this question is about. So you really need to like hone in and figure out what the question's asking specifically without it coming out and telling you what it's asking. So it's really talking about development here. I know that because it's talking about critical thinking skills, communication skills. These are all those soft skills. And if you studied beforehand, you knew the difference between training and development. You knew that training is those KSAs, whereas development are those soft skills. And when you read this question, you know they're talking about soft skills. Therefore, you know to go right to development. And see, that's why it's so important for you to kind of prepare for these exams instead of just, taking them and relying on you having to look up all the answers. You can narrow down your search so much easier if you just kind of think about what it is they're asking. So here, I know they're talking about development because they're honing in on those communication skills. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to look under employee development. I know it's not on this first page because I just read that page. Let's go ahead and look over here, employee development methods. And then as you read on, you'll see that development methods include the following. So it talks about case studies right here. Case studies and role play can be used to explore complex issues such as ethics or unconscious bias. So really, when you look at here, the objective of the case study is to apply critical thinking or the higher order of thinking skills. Right down here, when it talks about committees or special projects, or it talks about classes, conferences, seminars, and webinars, it talks about how in this area, structured learning, in person or online, can build knowledge, expertise, communication, and critical thinking skills, industry or functional knowledge, and relevant professional networks. So what is this question asking? Verbatim from the book, which of the following is the least effective way for employees to participate in structured learning? And then here's structured learning. And it can build all of these things, right? Communication, critical thinking, industry knowledge. And then here it is, the least effective way to participate in structured learning. Industry knowledge, communication skills, critical thinking, and professional networking abilities. So we have these options: conferences, seminars, webinars, and case studies. So if you look here, it says right here on page 173, classes, conferences, seminars, and webinars are the best way for structured learning. Right? It doesn't talk about case studies. Up here, it talks about case studies and how case studies are specifically for applying critical thinking and higher order thinking skills. And that both case studies and role play can be used to explore complex issues. So when I'm looking at this, I see conferences, seminars, webinars, and case studies. Well, since the definition of case studies, the textbook says that it's best for complex and for complex situations, and conferences, webinars, and seminars are best for industry knowledge, communication skills, and so on, then your choice is obviously D, case studies, because conferences, seminars, and webinars, according to the text, are perfect for these types of situations. All right, so I hope that helped you determine how to take these tests. It took me just a minute to look up the answers. I just picked up a random test. I started going through it, and it took me no time to find the answers. And the reason why it took me no time to find the answers was not because I already knew the answer. It was because I knew where to look. I knew when it talked about development that I needed to go to module 7. When it talked about emotional intelligence and conflict resolution, that I needed to go to module 10. And that right there is going to save you so much time when you're looking up the answers. Because a lot of times it just, it can be a little bit overwhelming. There's so many different questions and so many different modules. And if you don't know what the question's asking, and you don't have that foundation of knowledge to begin with, you would never find that answer. It would be looking for a needle in a haystack. And at this point, then you'd just be guessing. And I have a feeling that's what a lot of students do. So understanding the question, understanding what's covered in every area. Understanding the basic definitions and the foundation of what you've covered so far is going to take you a long way and having you be successful for this final exam. All right. Hopefully that you find this helpful. Again, please do not wait until Sunday to take the exam. Um, Something will go wrong, I guarantee it. And there will be absolutely no extensions because I have to have those grades in by 9 a.m. the next day. And then they should be posted, I think, on the 10th for you. Right, if you have any questions, please reach out. Keep in mind that this is a point system. And so whatever your grade is, if you want to figure out what you need to get on the final to get a certain grade in the class is out of 1,000 points. So if you have 900 points, you'll get an A, 800 or above B, 700 and above C, and so on. Look at your grades, see what you need to get. This is this particular final exam is worth, let's see, I don't know if it's worth 100 or 200 points. It kind of depends. It doesn't actually say. I'll go ahead and update that, but I'll look over at the course schedule because it'll tell me on that. It's worth 100 points. So this will not be the reason why you fail the course unless you miss taking it, but it is only worth 100 points out of 1,000. Please make sure you get that in. And if you have any questions, again, reach out. It was a great semester, everyone. I'm really proud of everyone. You did really well. A lot of great discussion board posts and a lot of great written assignments. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about human resource management, and I hope you find it fascinating to take additional classes in HR as well. So we learned about the 5 functions of HR in this class, recruitment, compensation, training. I'm trying to think what else is there. Sorry. All the employee relations and employment law. And so we actually have classes that cover that. So training, for instance, is business 234, compensation is 258. I teach those as well. So that's how I know that. And then recruitment, Dr. Barton teaches recruitment. I think that's 256. Don't quote me, but that's one thing that I haven't taught yet was the recruitment, and she teaches that. But that's another function. And then of course, employment law is taught by our lawyers. We actually have lawyers on staff for Wake Tech in our business department. So they teach all the business law and the employment law courses as well. And so I think I want to say that's 115, but don't quote me. I could be wrong. It might be a 200 level, 215 class. And then of course we have HRM applications. And that is also sometimes taught by me and sometimes taught by Dr. Barton. It kind of just depends. But if you have any questions about our HR program, or if you're interested in taking more HR classes, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer those questions for you. Everybody have a fantastic summer. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone, and take care.